Did anyone have Suella Braverman outflanking Keir Starmer to the left on their bingo card? Now, this new development is extraordinary. So, Suella Braverman has called on the government to scrap the two-child benefit cap, whilst Labour do not support this move. The former Home Secretary, who has previously taken a tough stance on benefits, said the cap was aggravating child poverty. In an extraordinary intervention, right-winger Miss Braverman, who once said homelessness is a lifestyle choice, said the policy is too much for her to stomach. She blames the two-child cap, introduced by austerity Chancellor George Osborne in 2017, for pushing more children into relative poverty and forcing more families to use food banks. Earlier this year, Mr Sunak said he would keep the controversial limit if the Tories win the general election. Keir Starmer also said he is not changing the policy in a move that caused massive Labour divisions last year. Miss Braverman wrote in The Telegraph that many parents do not know about the limits when they have their third or fourth child, with single-parent families accounting for half of households affected. I mean, wow. Just wow. And now, of course, Suella Braverman is generally horrific on welfare. I mean, part of her leadership campaign was clamping down on benefits and using the tired old myth that people choose to do nothing and used benefit payments as a lifestyle choice. But what does it say that even Suella Braverman seemingly thinks the two-child benefit cap is cruel, yet Labour won't scrap it? Now, obviously, to me, that says that Labour has moved so far towards the right that we are not just seeing, a typical Tory, but a right-wing Tory come out with the bare minimum, yet is still seen as too left-wing for Labour. Now, scrapping the cap isn't a left-wing policy, which is why any Tory coming out against it isn't the most surprising thing. The most surprising thing is that Labour won't and have been outflanked on it, which is an indictment on Keir Starmer. What's more is that she even invoked recently passed Labour MP Frank Field, who was against the cap. Paying tribute to the work of the late MP Frank Field, who rallied against the measure, she said, "Let's abolish the two-child limit, eradicate child poverty for good, and make Frank Field proud." Miss Braverman said the $2.5 billion cost of lifting the cap could be found by getting more people into work and potentially bringing in means testing for pensioners. Now, of course, Field wasn't a left-wing stalwart. I mean, he actually had some pretty awful positions, but just think about this, right? We have a scenario where a right-wing Tory is praising a former Labour MP or a recently passed Labour MP and supporting the scrapping of a horrendous policy, while Starmer is allowing the likes of Natalie Elphicke to join his ranks. Look, it feels like we're in an upside-down world. Ever since Jeremy Corbyn stood down, it feels we've all been living in a nightmarish fever dream. Now, of course, Braverman saying we should make cuts to, I'm assuming, pensions to pay for it is obviously horrendous and a classic Tory, and might I add now, Labour approach. But it really says something that Braverman is willing to write in The Telegraph attacking the policy, yet Labour can't bring themselves to do the same. Instead, Labour have been bending over backwards trying to show how right-wing they are because they think they can win even the most conservative voters, which is utterly pathetic. Now, many might be thinking this is obviously cynical. Braverman isn't sincere and she's using it as an attack on Labour. And if you think that, you're probably right. I mean, I wouldn't at all be surprised if that's the case. However, that doesn't change anything. Optically, this is still awful, even if Braverman is lying. Right now, we have on public record a very right-wing Tory in Suella Braverman calling to scrap the policy, yet the so-called more progressive Labour Party doesn't want to. And you have to think that, once again, this shows the lack of smart politics from Keir Starmer, because, again, even if this is completely cynical from Braverman, had Labour always supported scrapping the cap, then they wouldn't have given Braverman, or any others, the opportunity to do this. Supporting right-wing policies is bad enough for Labour. Being outflanked to the left from very right-wing politicians is even worse. Just imagine when Starmer is PM, we may actually have a scenario where the leader of the Tory party, whoever that may be, could be attacking him at P&Qs for being too cruel and too right-wing. And I wonder how Starmer supporters are going to spin this, because that's going to happen. We've seen from Starmerites that they have no red lines. The fact that they defended Natalie Elphicke, defected to the Labour Party, means that there is, in my mind, no doubt that no matter what Starmer and Labour does, there won't be any pushback from these people, just excuses. What a sorry state of affairs we're in, and how utterly shameless Labour have become. Do not vote for these ghouls. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month. And if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity. And thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.